Hello students, Miss Slyman here with another system of linear inequalities, and this time I'm going to use graphing by hand for these because these are, well actually we might do a little bit of both here. This first one definitely I'm graphing by hand. I want the absolute value of y to be smaller than 1. That means I'm really looking for decimals. If I think about numbers that work here, 0 works, a half works, negative a half works, but 2 does not work. 2 is not less than 1. Absolute value of negative 2 also doesn't work, not less than 1. So I'm going to come over here to my 1, and I'm going to put in dashed lines because it only says less than, not less than or equal to. Oh, I want my y values, not my x values. So let's go back and think about y values. So negative 1, positive 1, and in this case I'm looking at the region in between these. Okay, now I'm thinking about the general shape of an absolute value graph. So let's just think about y equals the absolute value of x. That graph, if I think about putting it on a grid, that graph looks like this. Shape of a V. I've got 2 lines that both have slopes of negative 1 and 1. And this is what absolute value of x looks like. If I take it and make it negative, negative absolute value of x reflects over the y-axis. Again, I should have had a slope there of negative 1. So let's try and make it a bit more symmetric. So that's negative absolute value of x, and then this plus 1 is going to take this whole graph and shift it up 1. So I'm going to come in and do that over here. So I shift up 1. I've got greater than or equal 2. So for my red, thinking about red, I could shade that in. In my final answer, it would not be shaded in though because it crosses with a dotted line. So I'm going to take this, the negative absolute value of x, shifted up 1, so I've got a slope of 1. Here's my next point, and my next point coming down this way. Next point, next point. So I've got over here greater than or equal to. So for the red, I'd be looking at this area. So then in my final solution, let's try and make this really stand out. So maybe I'll use the yellow. Hopefully that'll show up. I'll make it a bit thicker. All right, so we're not including any of these lines. Just to be clear, we're not including this. I'll put an open circle. We are including these lines. Of course, you're drawing with a ruler, so it would be straight lines. We are not including our endpoints, open circles. We are not including these lines on the bottom, and we are including this area. So here's our final solution. What a fun looking graph that is. If I'm going to try to, actually I'm done because it says sketch the graph to the solutions. So here is my sketch of the solutions.